Hi, I'm Andy Glass with Glass Impressions. Today we're going to do our very first GI Q&A. Stick around, hope you enjoy. In preparation for this video, I asked my YouTube subscribers and Instagram followers to submit me questions that I can answer in this first GI Q&A. So let's get started. My little cheat sheet here. In no particular order, Last JW Fan on Instagram submits the most popular question: what is your day job? My day job is a business development representative for a company that deals with coal-fired power plants. And my job is to drum up new opportunities, create new business, and find contacts to bring to the company itself. Now, I have a pretty large coverage area from Canada to Texas to Montana to Illinois, basically the central United States. And this large area involves a lot of traveling, both by vehicle and by plane. Specifically, a lot of ground travel. I drive approximately 75 to 80,000 miles a year, and so there's a lot of windshield time. But basically, I'm calling on new customers, calling on old customers with potential new business ideas, and bringing that to the table for the company. Hopefully I don't butcher your name here. Abel Nito sends a question on YouTube. What type of camera do you use, and what video software do you use for editing your videos? Thanks in advance. Abel, I use a Canon Rebel T5i with the standard kit lens, the 18 by 55 millimeter. And then I also have, I believe, a 15 by 135 millimeter lens for a little bit more close-up action. I specifically use that for my CNC, as I can set the camera away and zoom in a little closer. For video editing software, I use the Adobe Suite. Specifically for videos, I use Adobe Premiere. Adobe across the board is the Cadillac of all softwares. Everything's integrates with each other, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Awesome Wood Things submits a question on YouTube, quite lengthy one and detailed at that, so I will slightly paraphrase, but he basically asks if I sell anything, and if so, what and where. Great question, Awesome Wood Things. I started out at this hobby thinking that I could sell small craft projects to help pay for tools and bring some cool stuff into the shop. And I quickly found out that not only was it a very inefficient use of my time and I didn't really enjoy it, but there's not a lot of money in that specific area of woodworking. If you find a niche for an item, that can definitely be a different story. When family and friends and I guess social media started to notice that I did woodworking, I would get the random text or Facebook message that said, hey, can you build this? So that led into kind of where I'm at now. I take commissions. All my basically for sale stuff is done through commissions. Basically, a customer will contact me. I really like when a customer has a picture of an example that they would like me to build or design something close to it or take ideas from it and merge a few different pieces. And then I will estimate my time, estimate my materials, and in the material aspect I use SketchUp quite a bit, and then I will submit a price to them, and if they like it I will go ahead and start building the piece, and if they don't, either we modify the quote, change the materials or design to help make the project more affordable. Ode to George submits a question on YouTube. I don't really know anything about air compressors. Why are they always silent on YouTube videos, but my little one is loud as heck? Do you have any recommendations for a size or model for brad nailing and general woodworking? I won't be framing a house. Your videos are great, thanks. Ode to George, this is a great question. Specifically, a few YouTubers that I'm trying to think of kind of use that as a branding. Specifically Jimmy DiResta, when he's brad nailing away, his air compressor will pop on and it really adds a sense of uniqueness to his videos that I quite enjoy. Specifically in my shop, I believe I have a 35-gallon air compressor, and you don't ever hear it because I always turn it on prior to rolling the camera, let it build up, and I have a big enough tank to where it won't kick on. Typically, it won't kick on until either the leaks take over and all the air comes out, or I'm doing a heck of a lot of brad nailing. And if it does kick on, you'll notice it is a little quieter because I have put mine in the attic, and run the hose through the ceiling. So all the noise is up there and I don't hear anything down here. So Ode to George, thanks for the question. Charlie Wood submits a question on YouTube. Hey buddy, did you do any more with your cedar cooler? I think LED lights would look cool. Great idea, Charlie. Thank you for the question. Unfortunately, I have not done anything to it, and I really love the concept of that project. I hate how I executed it. It was very bulky. It was just overly built. It doesn't need to be what I did. I have plans this summer, probably late spring, to do another build, probably a pallet project. I think that would look really cool and make the project much more affordable. So to directly answer your question, Charlie, no, I have not done anything. Keep an eye out for videos this spring, as I will do another one and potentially a series on that. So again, thank you for your question. Dan submits a question on YouTube. Why North Dakota? Thanks for the question, Dan. I was born in Fargo, North Dakota, born and raised. Quick fact, the movie Fargo was not shot in Fargo, North Dakota. It was shot in Bemidji, Minnesota. But moving on, Dan, I was born and raised here. I absolutely love North Dakota. It's all relative to where you grew up or what you're used to. I've traveled a lot with my day job. I've seen basically the entire United States. Everything is different. Everything has its good and its bad. Bottom line, I'm a Midwest kind of guy. I'm a North Dakota kind of guy, and it would take me a considerable effort to get me out of North Dakota. So thank you for the question. JBB submits a question on YouTube, and I will paraphrase. He's working in a half-stall garage and asks if it'd be worth the money to purchase a small tabletop model joiner rather than a large long bed style model. JB, thank you for the question. My initial response would be you have to play the cards you're dealt. If that's what works for you at this point in time, then that's what best fits the situation. And later in the future, if you decide that you can rearrange or rework what you're working with, or you can potentially convince your wife or girlfriend that you want your garage back, then you can buy a larger floor stand model. So thank you for the question, and absolutely, if it keeps you in the shop, go ahead and get that small tabletop joiner. Bryce Rick, don't ever trust a guy with two first names. Anyways, Bryce Rick submits a question on YouTube. Actually, he submits two questions. Being I answered the day job one earlier, I will take his first question. How much time do you get in the shop on an average week? Thank you for the question. I'm very flexible in my day job. Some weeks I get quite a bit of time. Other weeks I get zero time. Weekends are a big factor. If I'm in town on the weekends, I basically spend all my time in the shop. And if I'm out of town, obviously I don't get any time. But with that being said, I maybe get 15 or so hours a week in the shop. Now, I'm a go-getter. I'm a going 100 miles an hour all the time, and this is also a second gig for me, and I want to put out regular content for you guys. So I make it a very strong point to get in the shop on a weekly basis to complete projects and keep things moving, especially now with this whole YouTube deal. So Bryce Rick, thank you for the question. Mike Capazzi submits a question on YouTube. How did you get affiliated with Rockler? Thank you for the question, Mike. Appreciate you following me. I reached out and touched base with Rockler very close to the conception of my YouTube channel regarding the plantation shutter build for the shop windows. Basically asked them if they were interested in sponsoring this video and in providing their templates and jigs and materials to complete in turn for exposure on my very, very new YouTube channel. And they were gracious enough to give me the opportunity, and they obviously liked what they saw. I guess the quality and the way I interact with the camera, they liked it, and it's really blossomed into an absolute fantastic relationship. I really wouldn't be where I'm at without Rockler. The people at Rockler are phenomenal. The products they have are great. The customer service support is phenomenal. So a shameless plug. Go visit rockler.com or search for your nearest brick and mortar store. So thank you, Mike. Another tricky name, Browseblade, submits a question on YouTube. What is your worst experience in the shop? Thank you for the question. Appreciate you following. That is a very good question. I think, I guess the worst situation that I completely dislike in the shop is having an environment that's cluttered, is busy, and very inefficient. I hate environments or workspaces that are cluttered with tools or scraps or things. I hate clutter. So if it's not in its spot or where it needs to be, I'm very uncomfortable. I get grumpy fast. So I guess the worst situation happens occasionally. I'm a very tidy person. I like to keep things relatively organized and clutter-free, and that tends to keep the shop much more efficient, and that's the way I like it. But when the situations arise where it does get cluttered, I get frustrated really fast, and it really messes with my mood. So Browseblades, that is the worst experience I have in the shop, is dealing with inefficient shop or cluttered shop. So thank you for the question. Robert Evans submits a question on YouTube. What is your favorite project? Simple question, Robert. I like it. Thank you for the question, and thank you for watching me on YouTube. Every project has its uniqueness. To date, I really enjoy the wine boxes or booze boxes that I make with the sliding lids. I think they're very unique. And then on a woodworking aspect of it, there's accumulative techniques and aspects to that build that are really a really good skill builder, and you can perfect your craft. Grooves, the sliding lids, the ink transfer techniques, and I really like the hand plane shavings for cushioning the wine bottle or the booze bottle. So Robert, that is my favorite project. If you missed that project, click this card right here and go ahead and watch that video. Studio 69 fan submitted a question on YouTube. Hi Andy, I've noticed you have a more made-for-TV presentation style. Is there any specific inspiration for this style? Example, Bob Vila, Norm Abram, or do you have some background or schooling that helped you polish your presentation? To start out on the latter portion of that question, my background as a business development person has really polished, I guess to use your words, has polished my presentation skills as I give quite a lot of high-powered presentations and dealing with clients on a day-to-day basis, new clients, talking on the phone, talking in person. It's helped that transition and communication with the camera and you guys a little bit easier. But with that being said, when I started this, you're talking into a camera for the first time, and it's a little nerve-wracking. You stumble a little bit on words, etc. So when you're starting out, or when I'm starting out, to have that scripted intro and outro was a little bit easier to develop a style and to get going, get comfortable with the camera. And I'm not really pushing for a specific style. Whatever comes out, and I hope as I develop as a content creator, really the Glass Impressions soul is projected in the content that I put out, and whatever that evolves to, so be it. So to address the inspiration question of that, I did watch a lot of Norm Abrams, love New Yankee Workshop, and This Old House. Bob Vila, really the only interaction I have with him was him being the bad guy on Tool Time, or not Tool Time, maybe Tim the Toolman. Anyways, that Tool Time was the show within the show. Home Improvement, there we go. Tool Time was the show inside Home Improvement, and occasionally Bob Vila would come on the show, and Tim Taylor hated Bob Vila because he was the best guy ever. So in that show particularly, I love Al. I guess I'm more of an Al guy and more of the presentation style guy, and knows his stuff, and I have all my fingers, and I'm not sure Tim Taylor at the end of those seasons did, because he got injured quite a bit. But thanks for the question, Studio 69 fan. That was an interesting one. It gave me a lot to ponder on the road as I drove for my day job. So thank you. Well, that concludes the first Glass Impressions Q&A, and I appreciate all that submitted questions. If you would like to submit a question, do that below, and look out for the Ask Me Questions video in preparation for the second Q&A. As the quality questions get assembled and there's enough of them to do the second one, I will go ahead and do that and get that out there. Another way you can submit questions is on my Instagram. If you are not following me on Instagram, I post a lot of shop pictures and mid-project pictures that you can follow along as things develop in the Glass Impressions workshop. And then go ahead and comment on any of the pictures in there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, gave you a little bit of insight. Again, go ahead and ask me questions that relate to the shop, woodworking, my personal life, past projects, tool recommendations, this, that, whatever. As long as they're appropriate and applicable, I will go ahead and try to get them answered. Try to keep them short and concise. Easier to read off at the beginning, the better. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun with this. It was great to ponder the questions as they came in. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate it. I will see you next time.